we're back discussing Paul W.S. Anderson. This is all stemming from recently. I watched his 2022 movie, thanks to Hulu, Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter stars his girlfriend or wife, Mila Jovovich. They've been together for quite some time. I'm not even going to fact check that because who cares about the gossip stuff. But she's a collaborator of his. She's collaborating with him 5 years later for a new movie that stars Dave Bautista in The Lost Lands. That's coming up on this podcast. I wanted to sit down with you guys to go through this guy's filmography. And the reason for that is he gets raked through the coals. This guy cannot do anything right. But he's been making successful movies since 1994. He's got a longevity. He's got a consistency. He's got a flavor. He's got an execution. Dare I even say he has a director. He, in a large effect, is a director's director. And he's never touched a Star Wars movie, a Marvel movie, a DC comic books movie. He has created franchises, multiple franchises, that are relevant in the world of film going. Paul W.S. Anderson is one of my guys. And today, I want to talk to you about him.
Quiet on the set!
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
Action!
Alright, I had to do so I just Mila Jovovich. This is his collaborator / wife. So it looks like I was correct with the intro. So she was also married, and I thought this was true. She did marry Luc Besson from Fifth Element. So she's married back-to-back directors of her. Her collaboration with husband Paul W.S. Anderson might be one of the greatest director, actor, spouse, I'm married to you collaborations in history. They're already, for a married couple, the GOAT in that. But her as an actress, as a performer, and him as the guy running the show, it's of note. And I just want to leave that there. I think it's immensely important that their collaborations have weaved and gone through so many different subjects and topics and ideas, and hey, budgets big and small, they've done it all. And budgets big and small, feel free to fact check me on that. Her website though, she has I didn't realize she did music. So she's got music from SoundCloud on her website. She's got links to her Instagram, which is fantastic, right? I mean, she's got, I think, for a celebrity, she has one hell of a website. It's well designed, well thought out. She has a preview of her coming movie, or her current movie, as available right now on digital, in The Lost Lands. She's got recent photos. She's still modeling, and she has one really cool film timeline. And you can kind of see between like 2021 and 2025 a little bit of a gap, because she might have been raising a kid. I don't know. I like everything I'm seeing from her. So we're not here to talk about Mila, even though I do love her as Joan of Arc, by the way. Luc Besson made 2 really good movies for her. So Paul W.S. Anderson, 1994, Shopping. I did begin watching this movie, did not get far. I just got to get back into it. But the next year, he follows up with really, at the time, what's considered to be, at the time, the greatest video game adaptation, the 95 Mortal Kombat, and all thematic films, cinematics, even streaming, straight to video, straight to DVD, any version that's a live action Mortal Kombat is forever compared to this movie. The music alone, the use of the music is mesmerizing. It sticks with you. The casting really is dead on. The practical effects for Goro, the fight scenes, the fight choreography. Paul W.S. Anderson, he stomped it. He stomped the competition when we want to look at the contemporaries of this era, which is the live action Super Mario Brothers, the live action Double Dragon. Mortal Kombat really was the crown jewel. Now, I believe he may have been involved with the story or plot of the follow-up, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And recently, we talked about the 2022 Monster Hunter from Paul W.S. Anderson. I love how Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation both end, and how Monster Hunter ends. It is a little bit of the Paul W.S. Anderson formula, and I think we're better for it. So he follows up Mortal Kombat with a movie now that's infinitely referenced, memed, used, clipped. Event Horizon. It is a space horror movie starring Sam Neill, right? Like we hot off of Jurassic Park. And it's Lawrence Fishburne. One fantastic movie, incredible. I mean, I remember working at the comic shop, and you would hear people that saw the director's cut of this, or the editor's cut, or producer's cut, well, whatever they were calling it at the conventions, because people would buy DVDs and VHSs of it, and it was of legend. And I believe as of right now, all of that has been like officially released. 98. So the next year, Kurt Russell. We're going into the Blade Runner universe. Soldier now. Soldier is now on a lot of lists of underrated great science fiction movies. Science fiction movies you have to see that are underrated. I love Soldier always from the very start. I used to watch it on HBO or Cinemax like all the time. And 2002, here we go. So we can argue that already by 2002, he embedded two franchises in cinema, Mortal Kombat and Resident Evil. He does a sequel to, or like a side tangent sequel to Blade Runner, which is incredible. Resident Evil, right, starring Mila Jovovich, his girl. Resident Evil spawns a 6-movie story arc that is unparalleled to anything we've seen. It is an arc. It has a beginning, middle, and an end, and it's fantastic. I've been longing to do a straight up Resident Evil, a pure one, a straight up Resident Evil deep dive for the 31 Days of Dread for quite some time. Haven't quite gotten there yet, but I love these movies. I like the elements he pulled from the game. At the time, you only had Resident Evil 1 and 2. I don't believe 3 or Code Veronica was in the ether. I could be wrong, but a lot of the lore, a lot of the ideas. I think the author's name was S.E. Perry. We had some novels, maybe some comics from Wildstorm, which we did profile on YouTube for Wildstorm Wednesday, but there wasn't a lot to get off the bone, so to speak, pun intended there, for Resident Evil. And what he did, and the way how he expanded that franchise and those characters, and that initial movie is more of a nod towards the games, and then later he takes it in a completely wild, fun, dare I even say, I know I say that a lot, take a shot every time I say dare I say, but he takes it into a whole new fun direction. So he follows up Resident Evil 2 years later, writing Resident Evil Apocalypse, which does very well at the box office, and directing Alien vs. Predator. We give Alien vs. Predator a ton of credit because if we watch Prometheus, the movies echo one another for the first 30 minutes. The first 30 minutes of Prometheus, Ridley Scott, is almost equal to the first 30 minutes of Aliens vs. Predator. He brings in Wayland. He starts backtracking and retconning a lot of the story. We later, with the work of Ridley Scott between Alien Covenant and Prometheus, the retro or the recanonizing of a lot of the Alien lore, it's up for grabs. Who cares? Like, all systems are go. He does many interesting things with Alien vs. Predator. He brings us a beefier, a tougher looking Predator. Later, Robert Rodriguez introduces the wolf predators, and we know that the predators from Predator and Predator 2 are the dog predators. So there's like a hierarchy to the predators. It all started here. Weapons, gadgets, the shooting, incredible. I always like the ending with the queen just kind of like running wild. He pulls in elements from the comics, which is the predators pretty much adopting a human and bringing on a human hunter. There's a lot of good business in AVP. I liked it upon inception. When that movie came out, it was a landmark movie. So with that, we go ahead. 3 more years. He writes yet again Resident Evil Extinction. So now we have 3 Resident Evil movies. He's, in my view, bred life in Alien and Predator with not just the movie, but with the merchandising around it. He keeps that franchise going. AVP is popular enough to get AVP Requiem. He's not involved with that, but the franchise continues. And then 2008, this is maybe the one people talk about the least, but Death Race with Jason Statham. This is a Roger Corman, Sylvester Stallone starring like remake, and he brings a believability to this world, to this apocalyptic world that would do a Death Race. He brings that to fruition. I've seen the movie one time. I believe like everyone's like a prisoner there. It's a little bit like Suicide Squad. They get the worst of the worst and give them cool cars, and it's, I believe, I don't know if it's a game show. I don't quite remember that part of the remake. But Death Race 2008 gets a straight to DVD, straight to video franchise. I believe there might be 3 or 4 of those by now. So he comes back with Resident Evil Afterlife. 2010 writes and directs. 2011, AKAPAD. This movie was on repeat for like a week. The Three Musketeers, also starring Mila Jovovich. His Three Musketeers, which is pretty much like a Victorian steampunk fantasy movie, is nothing but fun. It is great. I love the look of this movie. It's so bright. It just fits. It's a great diversion from his other work. I think it's there. I like the Three Musketeers. I also like the Disney Three Musketeers starring Patton Oswalt, or not Patton Oswalt, Robert Patterson. One of those guys. But I think Chris O'Donnell is in that Disney Three Musketeers. 2012, the next year, he writes and directs Resident Evil Retribution. So it's 5 movies now for Resident Evil. 2014, he gets a guy from Game of Thrones. They make a movie about Pompeii. Very similar to Rennie Harlin and Roland Emmerich, who also went down the road of doing historical timepiece movies. Pompeii is there. I've seen it one time. I enjoyed it. Didn't do any episodes on it, but maybe we will have that coming. So 2016, Resident Evil, the final chapter. He wraps, everything up with this movie. So from 2002 to 2016, the world got Resident Evil movies. The Resident Evil movies made money for 6 movies for him to wrap it up. He kept the franchise relevant to the point of, and here we go, where Netflix was able to, not long after this, do their own version of Resident Evil to keep that going in. And as of right now, I believe there's another Resident Evil movie in production. We've already had one that actually dropped around, I think, 2021, 2022. He kept this franchise going for film goers and not video game freaks. He has a world arc, things that happened in this world, and I think it's one of the greatest like zombie apocalypse stories ever put on film or in anything. I think it's there, and it's there in my view because I've seen these movies and I watched them. I paid attention to them. I think people will bash these movies and pass on and not give them a chance, and that's why we're doing today's episode. Everything I'm mentioning to you is worth your time. 2020, COVID, the pandemic, the worst of the worst happens. Monster Hunter drops I view that movie, even though it came, I think overall it was like 14 million under budget. It was a $60 million movie. I think it did around 45. Feel free to double check me on that. Monster Hunter came out right with the pandemic, 2020, the worst time, again, the worst time ever. But I feel like it did well enough, and the movie's good enough for it to get a sequel. And it's perfectly set up. We have characters that we like by the end of the movie. It is set up for the monsters coming into Earth, our world, our side. So we get all the modern tech, all the modern military versus giant, awesome-looking creatures. I love it. Let's go. But that doesn't quite happen. And here we go in 2025. I was blown away. I had no idea that what this movie was, that this movie was coming. Randomly popped up on my Amazon. So on Amazon, it shows your trailers and you get thumbnails to click on sometimes. In the Lost Lands with Dave Bautista, where excuse me, where he plays a vampire. Not a vampire, a werewolf, and it's based on the guy that wrote Game of Thrones. He wrote this story. They made a movie. It also stars Mila Jovovich, his wife. I don't know if she's a vampire or if she's a werewolf, but this movie looks awesome. I watched the trailer. We'll be doing that on the AKAPAD Film Buff podcast if I haven't already done it by the time you guys listen to this. So that's a filmography. Now, that's just his producer, The Dark, DOA, 2006. Pandorum, 2009. Executive producer, Here Are the Young Men. I have no idea what that. Oh, but Here Are the Young Men stars our girl Anya Taylor-Joy, and the poster, the thumbnail looks really good for this. Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. All right, so he's involved with that 2021 reboot of Resident Evil. Direct to video. Here we go. Death Race 2, Death Race Inferno. That's Death Race 3, and Death Race Beyond Anarchy is as early as 2018. He's story and producer for all of those. He's got a handful of television credits. Commercial. He did a Doom 3 commercial. He did a Volkswagen commercial. I don't know, AK Powders. Paul W.S. Is one of my guys. I'd like to sit down and have movies to enjoy. I'd like to sit down and have movies that I can bring my friends to, that we can just sit down and laugh at and point at and have a good time at and have an arc to follow and feel fulfilled by the end of the flick. I view everyone that comes after this guy as low energy, low level. To me, Paul W.S. is in the vein of Michael Bay and Zack Snyder. And the three of these guys, if you want to, this collection, they do similar movies, but the points and the intent and the way how their movies wrap up or move on into the credits, all drastically different. They're very different, but they're easily comparable. That's how you know you're in a class. I would even put Justin Lin with his Fast and Furious fame. Justin Lin did to Star Trek Beyond, but Justin Lin isn't quite there with these guys. I really think it's Bay, Anderson, and our boy Zack Snyder. We love him, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. We're going to be doing more of these filmography deep dives, but I feel like, again, the Lorax, I have to be the voice, and Paul W.S. is one of those guys that I feel like I have to be the voice for. Rock and roll. I love you.
Okay, that's a wrap.